American Football Institute sports channel with former National Football League defensive tackle and now an NFL consultant, Chris Mamalanga.
Hello, welcome to the American Football Institute. My name is Chris Mamalanga, and today we have a very special guest, honor and a privilege to introduce my good friend, definitely somebody who is utilized the tool of American football, not only to learn so many things, but that's just an amazing story and an amazing journey. And his name is Danny Katoa out of the state of Hawaii, originally from the island of Tonga, but migrated here to the great state of California, here in Los Angeles, and definitely looking forward to spending some time with you. Hey, Mr. Katoa, can you hear me?
I hear you loud and clear, brother.
Man, it's really exciting to have you on, man. Thank you for making time for AFI, the American Football Institute, and definitely looking forward to you sharing some of these golden nuggets that contributed to your success utilizing the tool of American football.
No, thank you. I'm excited for the platform and always been a big fan of what you're doing in the community and how you're making a difference in the next generation's lives. You know, like for our generations, we didn't have that. And so always a big fan, brother.
Thank you. We have a couple of questions we'll go over, and just to, with respect to your time, wanted just to go over those few questions so you can share with our audience. But before we get started, can you please share a little bit about yourself and kind of your journey leading up to when you first started playing football?
Yes. As Chris alluded to, I live here in Hawaii now. I came to school here, kind of fast forward the story, in 1993 to University of Hawaii on a football scholarship, and blessed to have that opportunity. And I never went back home. And home was California. So my family and I, we migrated to California when I was 11 years of age, and didn't speak a word of English, and we lived right in the heart of Inglewood, California. That was a challenge within itself, but I think that's how, obviously it's God's plan, but that's how I was introduced to football in that realm. At that age, I believe it was around 12. I was in the 6th grade, and got introduced to Pop Warner. Well, matter of fact, we came home from work during the summer, and I saw these kids at Morningside High School practicing, and they were relatively about my age. And I told my brother, I said, "Hey, man, let's go sign me up. I can bust those guys up," And, I didn't understand that it took money to play Pop Warner. I didn't understand that you had to be on part of a team, and things of that nature. And anyways, that's where it all started from. My first love for the game, right in the soccer field of Morningside High School.
So how old were you when you first started playing American football?
I think I was 12. And I
remember,
I remember the first year, Chris. I didn't, because English was challenging, I didn't know the concept, right? All I knew is like you hit people, right, and you had this padding on. And I've always been like a rough, rugged type of deal. I love physical contact,
right.
And so, but I didn't understand the plays. I didn't realize that there's plays that are called every down. All I saw was the physicalness of it, and for a whole year after signing up and being introduced, I just sat on the bench. Like, my parents didn't have to worry about my uniform. It was clean. Like, I think the coach let me in one time to run down on the kickoff, and the guy kicked the ball out of bounds, so I still didn't, get hit. But it was an experience. I'm glad that I hung in there, because the following year I went to the 7th grade. I started to understand English a little better. At this moment, I had figured out the difference between defense and offense. And so I understand that the defense, you just go find the ball and tackle. And, I went from sitting on the bench in a whole year to being on the All-Star the following year.
Wow. So prior to the age of 12, had you had a sports background at all? Did you play American football in Tonga? You know, from my understanding, uh, American football is not something we play in Tonga. But can you please share kind of like your experience and how tough that was transitioning, and kind of like that whole progression in your journey?
Yeah, growing up in my hometown in Tonga, Golovai, we things was rugby, and so every kid, we play rugby every chance we get, whether it was touch rugby or tackle rugby, we played it. So I think that's where I got the physical part of the game from. And then, obviously when there was no American football, and so when I got introduced to it, I saw it as rugby. It was just different. You know what I mean? It was,
Yeah.
you obviously had pads on, and then, in my mind, I'm trying to figure out, well, I got to wear this heavy stuff. Why can I just tackle people with my shoulders? But it, for safety and things of that nature. So you obviously transition, and you have to. I had to to learn a lot of new things that I was blind to and unaware of. It's like a foreign country. Basically.
Yeah, definitely. That's amazing, man. So you go from a small country in the middle of nowhere in the Pacific. Did you speak English fluently when you arrived here?
No, and that was the problem. Like I shared earlier, was I sat on the bench for like a whole year because I didn't understand the plays. And
Right.
the disheartening thing for me was I went to school with some of these guys that I was on the team with, and I know that I can rough them up when we play throw up tackle, at school, but they were playing over me because they understood the plays, and so
Right.
it really caused me to think outside the box, and then to also develop a patience of growth, because I knew that somewhat education and football went together. If I didn't have my educational, my academics in place, then I couldn't play, and at
Right.
a certain level, So I think that was a challenging moment for me as a young man.
So at Morningside High School in Inglewood, California, you started playing high school football. Can you share with us in our audience the transition from high school to the University of Hawaii and kind of that part of your journey?
Yeah, well, it's a huge transition. So I'll connect the story from my seventh grade. I go to the All Star my seventh grade, All Star my eighth grade year. So I get to Morningside my freshman year, and the day we go through two a day of practice, and then the day that we break up to go to JV and varsity, I ran with the JVs, and the coach pulled me and put me on the varsity team, and I'm like, man, I don't know if I can play with these big guys. I mean, these guys had beards and mustache. They were grown men,
Right.
and uh, and you know, it, it was funny, but not funny in the way. Like the first tackling drill, I got knocked out because I
Wow.
guess I didn't understand the concept of like people were competing for a position. You know what I mean? Like there's actually four guys in the position competing, and the big older senior guys, they didn't want to lose their job, and so they saw me as a fresh meat. It's like, let's eat him up. So it was an experience of growing from there, but I hung in there. Thank God I didn't quit. I hung in there, and got to acclimate it into even becoming a starting role as a freshman at Morningside High School.
Wow.
Without really knowing the game. Just or understanding the things that I needed to understand, and just I think it's just my parents' prayers and a lot of God's favor on my life.
That's amazing. I love just in that short period of time from the age of 12 going into high school at the age of 14 or 15. And then when did you realize that could be an avenue for you, and end up we're getting a full you got a full athletic scholarship to the University of Hawaii. That's amazing in itself. That's amongst the top percentile in the country amongst student athletes. Can you kind of walk us through that process coming as an, I mean, you've already explained to us you came as an immigrant, not speaking English, overcoming so much adversity to be able to be a starter as a freshman in high school. And then now you're in Hawaii as a successful entrepreneur. Can you please share with us kind of how you ended up in Hawaii?
Yeah, no, definitely. So one of the pivotal points that like really stemmed me to stay in football was an uncle of mine. His name was Haloti Moala Liava'a. You know, he went to Inglewood High School. He was my brother's age, and he played football. He was really good. Like, I mean, you know, he was all league, South Bay All Star, and he got a full scholarship to University of Utah. And so in the summertime, I was working with him and his older brother and my dad, you know. And so he would always talk about, man, you got to keep playing. You got to continue to keep playing, keep learning the game. And that was inspiration. And then for me to stay in the game, I think the other one was like my junior year, when I you know, we connected up at the Daily Breeze All Star, and I saw you, Sione Mahe, doing your things. That was such a huge inspiration. And then you got a scholarship to University of Kansas, and I was like, man, I got one more year. I got to get out of here. I got to, you know, be an example for what Loti was and you and Sione was to the next generation, you know. And I wish we would have had. I mean, I think about like the things that you do today with the kids. I know I'm jumping everywhere, but I think about today, what you do with the kids is so unappreciated by so many people because we have already broke the door open. You know what I mean? And now it's more of just direction and confirmation. But because you already been there, done it, you're able to walk parents and kids through that process. But anyway, get back to the question is how I've been able to get here to Hawaii. You know, school was a challenge for me, you know, educational wise. So I went to junior college at El Camino, and I just thank God. Like when I look back at it, I thank God He had His hand over it. Because even when you went away to Kansas, we still stayed in touch. When you come back, we would work out over the summer. So it kept me in the game, even though I was challenged academic wise, you know, like adjusting to the American culture, you know.
Right.
But that I've never probably ever told you that, but that gave me a huge inspiration because I saw you keep striving, and every year you came back, you was outrunning me, you know, during the running drill, and I'm like, man, this dude is bigger than me, and it's outrunning me. It's like something is wrong here, you know. But I realized that your hunger to not stay the same, to continue to keep growing, the hunger. And, you know, I had to definitely get my game up to a greater level. And so by the grace of God, you know, I was able to have a good 2 years at in El Camino. And my coach, it was so funny because my coach, like I had a decision of where to go. But when I came to Hawaii on my last trip, I was like, man, where else can you know, play football and live in paradise and go to school? And man, I came back. I had to make one of the hardest decisions of my life, and I ended up being a great decision, you know, to be blessed to come here and go to school, get my degree, play football at the highest level, and you know, of Division I in college. Yeah, and just, you know, now, you know, being a father and being a husband is one of the most incredible accomplishments in my life.
That's awesome. You know, I've been privileged, Danny, to witness many parts of your journey, and I'll tell you what, your ability to overcome adversity, your humility, and also your work ethic has been something I've seen transfer over into your business life. Can you share with us, you know, once you earned that scholarship, maybe some of the life lessons that you can share with young folks out there and parents that you learned from this amazing sport of American football that can be transferred into business and life and family and things like that?
Yeah, man. There's so much, Chris, to take away. I don't know where to start, but the one thing that I do really admire through football is leadership, and and then working together as a team. It's like you can be the most talented D tackle, but if you don't have linebackers that's flying around making plays while you taking up the blocks, it means nothing, right? And so understanding to put people in position to win, and then when you work together as a team like that, when they win, you win. You know what I mean? And so those are leadership skills that I would have never learned. Then I got it from the gridiron. You know what I mean? And I can't just talk about what I'm what other people are doing. I gotta hold up my end of the stick as well. I don't want we're as strong as the weakest link, and you don't want to be the weakest link that let the team down in that way. And so that always drove me to put my best foot forward, whatever it is that I'm involved in, and just never quit. Find a way. There's always a way to win. And there, well, obviously biblically there's a right way to do it, there's a wrong way to do it, and we always try to. I think in life people settle for the easy way, and the easy way may not necessarily always be the right way, right? But if you search for the right way, that the payout is not only fulfilling but also generational at the same time. So I've learned so many things from the game of football. Has taught me about life, and just even when especially when you're losing a game. It's like it's not fun to play a game when you're losing, but it teaches you about how to endure and how will you show up character wise. Will you continue to give 110% to play all out? Because when you're losing to a team, it's like, man, I just want to give up. Like I want to get on the bus and go home, And you see some of your teammates are already at that place while the game is going on, and being able to inspire them by making one play or causing a play to happen. Those are leadership qualities that are deposit within us that we can transfer into even leading our family, leading a ministry, leading communities, and things of that nature. And I know I wouldn't be where I'm at today without the skills and the leadership qualities that I've learned from the game of football has taught me over the years, consciously and subconsciously.
Man, that's awesome, man. Thank you so much for sharing. And look, one of the things that we're striving for at the American Football Institute is really to share the stories, the success stories, but also the struggles and how to overcome that adversity. And so I'd like to ask you to give us your big three tips to be able to succeed in the advice for aspiring football players around the world, whether they're from Tonga or Australia or New Zealand, or whether they're in Fiji or Samoa or any other parts in the world, Europe or Asia or even Africa. Um, Anywhere around the world, there's some valuable tips. And one of the things we're going to be asking for you is to share your top three tips, or big three, I call it. Your big three,
Yeah.
as far as tips for young folks and parents alike to be able to kind of share some of those three nuggets from your perspective.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chris. Just right off of my heart is you got to have vision. You got to have a why. You got to have something that you're working towards, right? If you, as a kid, you know, like today, like with my kid, my oldest is a senior, so he doesn't play football. My youngest play football. So I think sometimes that's from a parent's perspective, we try to impose what we want to see in our kids or what we didn't do sometimes. And instead of trying to usher what God has in store for them and what gifts and talent that they have acquired so that they could put it into action, right? And one of the things that I'm learning and growing in is always from a place of vision. Like when there's no vision, people perish. Like you do something for liking, and once you don't like it, you quit. Like it doesn't work. Life doesn't work that way. You know, you're going to have some ups, you're going to have some downs, you're going to have some wins, you're going to have some losers. But what keeps you keep moving forward? You know, every day we get to advance the ball forward every day like that. And I think that's the biggest thing is have a vision and have a why, like something that you wake up and vividly imagine every day. What is life going to look like if I make the sacrifice today, right? And then you discipline yourself in that. The second thing I would say is find a mentor, find a coach that can help guide you along the way. You know, as you and I both know, learning through business today is so much better to travel the path of least resistance versus falling on your face a couple of times. And you know, I know there's certain things you can't do, but there's certain things where I just don't even think twice. I call up and say, Chris, what are you doing XYZ? You know what I mean? I know people that are good in that particular area. And I think sometimes as is having a mentor, you know, as for us as parents, is not be afraid to act. And I think, especially as Tongans, we get so humbled that actually works counterproductive. You know, where we're afraid to ask for help. You know, and I don't say this because you're one of my you know best friends or brothers, but you know the way you have affected the kids in our community in California. I don't think any person has ever done that, you know. And I'm not saying that to brag or to boast or to be pompous or arrogant. I really say that from a very humble spirit because I think, you know, the freedom and the blessings that you have blessed so many kids over the years, see, to go and experience college and go experience their dream. You opening a door that that wasn't there for us. You know, we had to go find it through something another way. You know, and I just encourage any parents, and not just Polynesian parents, is you know find help. Don't be afraid to ask for help and find a mentor and a coach that believes in you, believes in your son or your daughter, and well, yeah, if they're playing basketball or something. But that they believe in. You know, I think when you because every coach has a different. You know, this coach may like this players for this reason, and this coach may like this players for this reason. Well, as a parent, you may not know that, but as a mentor and as a coach, a person like yourself who understands, you know, oh, you be better suitable at this defense, you know, or you be better suitable here with your speed. It, you know, you have leverage. You know, ask for help. I think that's one of the. Second one is to be a mentor, and then number three is, you know, just outwork. You know, outwork everyone. You know, this I think that's the key is that you know the cream always rises to the top. You know what I mean? If you outwork people, God will find a way to recognize you for all the hard work that you have. So it will not go unnoticed, if that makes sense. And so that's my encouragement to kids. Now, there's a difference between if you don't have it, you don't have it, right? Like you also got to be humble in that way to say, I don't have it, you know, but don't just ask for experts to give you that advice. You know, don't just give up on yourself because, man, I've almost done that several times. And I think about like, I would have never experienced, you know, arena football if I didn't ask you for help, you know, and you extending your resources, you extending your everything. I mean, from people that helped me get to that level, simply because I called you and asked you for help, you know. So, yeah.
Man, I tell you what, Danny, it's you know, although we do have a friendship for decades since we were kids, I have so much tremendous respect for you. And as a matter of fact, the inspiration of this show alone was due to your faith, family, and finance and finances show. Can you close us out by sharing us a little bit about your show and kind of I just want to make sure you put that plug in there so people can understand that not only we have connections here on the American Football Institute for an athletic endeavors regarding American football, yourself, you got so much to offer with your faith, family, and finance channel as well.
Well, thank you, Chris. And obviously I'm honored and humbled always to be connected with you and love our connection and our friendship over the years. And, I know that it will stay that way until we move on to the next life. But the Triple F came from a concept where I just felt purposely called to upgrade my game to a greater capacity and great value for people. And I went through this process called the Ecclesia Accelerator, where it's more of a marketplace ministry type of thing. And what it basically does, it really teaches you how to be a light in the midst of darknesses in your spheres of influence, wherever you are at, whether you are an employee or a business owner or a parent, whatever, right? Is that you get to be the salt and the light in that particular establishment, and you get to change the culture. And so that really intrigued me a lot because, not knocking on my parents, but, church in our community growing up was it's more militant, hey, get up, get ready, go to church. And, we learned about culture, we learned about God, but we really didn't understand what our roles are and what we do. And, I've always carried that stronghold with me. And I've finally found something that brought healing and then brought awareness of what ministry is all about. So I just wanted to provide value for people, not from a book, but from the way I lived life, not claiming that I am perfect or whatnot, but I'm a sinner just like anyone else who's willing to do right by living in honoring a way that it's of his image, And so that's what we provide every week. We provide somebody in the area of faith, in the area of family, in the area of finances, just how to enhance it, like small practical ways, like getting together and having a meal as a family and just sharing, hey, what's going on in your life? We don't do that today, in the hustle and bustle. We get so caught up in life that we don't slow down so that we can speed up as a family or be in oneness, And so we provide those practical ways with people who are walking in it, not people that are thinking about it, but people that are walking in it. And so that the people who are thinking about strengthening those things can definitely have some takeaway and implement the practical ways right away in their finances to upgrade it, in their faith to upgrade it as well. So that's what Triple F is all about.
Man, thank you, Danny. And thank you again for sharing here on the American Football Institute channel on our weekly show. Hopefully, some of your words can be able to inspire and also help those to maximize. One of the goals here at the American Football Institute is to share journeys, different perspectives, but also to maximize the opportunity that American football can provide by earning a scholarship, and you were able to get your education paid for. And also, it wasn't free. That's one thing I want to share with people, that then you had to earn it, 100 hours a week of training and meetings and practice. So it's never free. The price was through your blood, sweat, and tears and your dedication to be able to earn your bachelor's degree and to be a great example in our community. So my hat's off to you. I tip my hat off to you and to your success, to your beautiful wife, Kathy, and the kids. Thank you so much. And look, those of you guys watching, please go and watch us, follow us on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. We have a lot more great information to continue to share with regards to this journey of American football And for us here at the American Football Institute, thank you and see you guys next week.